Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your outrage. Today, on this glorious third day of June, 2025, we delve into a tale so preposterous, so utterly unjust, it makes you want to scream into a pillow. Our protagonist, a remarkable individual navigating the world with autism, wasn't just facing a challenge. No, they were living a weekly insult. An insult meticulously packaged and delivered by Key Point Health Services. The grand sum? $11. Yes, you heard that right. $11 per week for personal needs. In an era where a fancy coffee can cost more, this was their lot. This isn't just a number, folks. It's a symbol, a testament to a system that had, for 11 long years, deemed this pittance sufficient. 11 years, think about that. This wasn't just an oversight, it was a declaration that the basic human needs of those in their care were worth less than a couple of gallons of gas. Or a single, slightly disappointing cinema ticket. Our hero knew this. They felt this. And they decided, with a fire fueled by righteous indignation, that enough was monumentally, unequivocally enough. The struggle was not just about money, though let's be clear, money is rather important for, existing. They were asking for change, and by God, they were going to demand it. The day arrived, as such days often do, with a mixture of dread and steely resolve. Alex wasn't just walking into a meeting. Oh no, Alex was marching into the heart of Key Point Health Services. Picture the scene. A polished mahogany table, long enough to land a small aircraft. On one side, the titans of industry, the CEO, the CFO, and the founder. And on the other side, Alex. One person, one voice. Representing the silent, unacknowledged needs of many. The power imbalance was palpable. It was the classic David versus Goliath setup. The air in the room was thick with unspoken questions. Would Alex be intimidated? The executives had their talking points prepared. Alex brought something more potent than corporate jargon. They brought lived experience. The raw, undeniable truth of trying to stretch an impossibly small sum to cover the basics of a dignified existence.
$11. For 11 years, that is what you have deemed sufficient for a person's weekly needs. I am here to tell you unequivocally that it is not just insufficient, it is an insult.
The words hung in the air, stark and accusatory. Alex didn't just present a problem, they delivered an indictment. They laid bare the absurdity of expecting anyone, in the year 2025, to manage their personal hygiene, their social connections, their tiny personal joys, on a sum that barely covers a fast food meal. It was a powerful opening salvo.
Do I buy soap this week? Or do I save that money in case I need a bus ticket to see a doctor? Do I get a birthday card for my only friend? Or do I ensure I have toothpaste?
These weren't hypotheticals. They were the grim realities. Now, you might think, surely Alex wasn't alone in this. Surely other patients, similarly constrained by this pittance, would rise up in a chorus of agreement. Surely the digital town squares of social media would be ablaze with supportive hashtags and shared stories of hardship. You would, unfortunately, be rather mistaken. In the lead-up to this confrontation, Alex had tried to rally the troops. They had posted cautiously at first, then more boldly, about the inadequacy of the $11 allowance. They had sought solidarity, a collective voice to amplify their concerns. What they received largely was the deafening sound of crickets. Or worse, the digital equivalent of people nervously looking away, pretending they hadn't seen the post. A few timid likes here and there, perhaps a private message of whispered support, quickly followed by a plea not to be publicly associated with the complaint. Fear, it seems, is a powerful silencer. Section 5. The counteroffensive, excuses, evasions, and an unshakable spirit. As Alex laid out their case, the executives, predictably, launched their counteroffensive.
It wasn't with shouts or overt aggression, oh no, it was far more insidious.
It was the calm, reasonable-sounding language of bureaucracy.
The CFO, a maestro of fiscal obfuscation, likely spoke of budgetary constraints, fiduciary responsibilities, and the complexities of resource allocation. Phrases designed to sound important and impenetrable, effectively saying no in the most drawn-out, soul-crushing way possible.
It's the corporate equivalent of being slowly suffocated by a mountain of beige paperwork.
The CEO, perhaps, chimed in with platitudes about Keypoint's commitment to care, while simultaneously explaining why that commitment couldn't possibly extend to a more generous personal needs allowance.
Maybe they mentioned industry standards, as if the widespread practice of undersupporting vulnerable people somehow makes it acceptable.
The founder, if they spoke at all, might have reminisced about tougher times and how people made do. A classic deflection that completely ignores the realities of inflation and the rising cost of absolutely everything over 11 damn years.
But Alex, blessed with that autistic clarity that cuts through nonsense like a hot knife through butter, was not to be deterred.
Section 6, the moral compass pointing true north towards dignity.
As the debate wore on, Alex shifted tactics. This isn't just about money, Alex pressed. This is about dignity. It's about respect. Are we simply numbers on a balance sheet, or are we human beings deserving of a life that isn't a constant struggle?
This was no longer a negotiation, it was a moral challenge. Section 7, the dam breaks, when righteousness overwhelms resistance. There's a moment in any prolonged standoff, any battle of wills, where the energy shifts. It's often subtle at first, a slight change in posture, a flicker in the eyes, a longer than usual pause. In that boardroom, as Alex's impassioned, morally charged arguments hung heavy in the air, that moment arrived.
Perhaps it was the CEO who leaned forward, the CFO who put down their pen, or the founder who finally truly looked at Alex, not as a problem, but as a person. The carefully rehearsed corporate script had run out of lines in the face of such raw, undeniable truth.
One can imagine the internal calculations whirring within the executives' minds. The potential for bad PR, certainly. The dawning, uncomfortable realization that Alex was, quite simply, right. The sheer tenacity of this one individual who had dared to challenge them so directly, so persistently. But perhaps, just perhaps, something more profound was at play. A spark of empathy, a flicker of that long-dormant idealism, a recognition that their decisions had real, tangible, and in this case, deeply unfair consequences for the human beings they were supposed to serve. The dam of resistance, built over years of bureaucratic inertia and fiscal conservatism, was beginning to groan under the pressure of pure, unadulterated righteousness. Section 8. The Proclamation, a New Covenant and a Champion's Reward. The announcement, when it came, was more than Alex had dared to hope for, yet exactly what justice demanded. The CEO, perhaps clearing their throat with a newfound gravity, began to speak.
After careful consideration, which in corporate speak often means after being thoroughly and justifiably shamed into action, Keypoint Health Services has decided to undertake a comprehensive review and immediate reform of the personal needs allowance.
The air crackled. This wasn't a vague promise of future action. This was the sound of imminent, tangible change. The policy, stagnant for 11 agonizing years, was finally, blessedly, going to be overhauled. But it didn't stop there. Oh no, dear friends, the universe, or perhaps just a suddenly enlightened board of directors, had a flair for the dramatic, for the divinely just. Not only would the allowance be significantly increased, brought into line with a dignified standard of living, think closer to that Maryland minimum wage benchmark Alex had so powerfully invoked, but there was more.
Furthermore, the CEO continued, a hint of something unreadable in their tone. Respect, awe, in recognition of your courage, your articulate advocacy, and your unwavering commitment to improving the lives of all our patients, Keypoint Health Services would like to offer you, Alex, a commission.
Section 9, Conclusion. The Symphony of Change, conducted by courage. Our story, which began with the insult of $11, culminates in a triumph of human spirit and a victory for justice. As of June 3, 2025, the winds of change are a hurricane of reform, sparked by one individual's courage. Alex's allowance now reflects genuine respect, allowing for a life of dignity. The impact is immediate: more security, less worry, more room to be human. The victory is larger than one person's improved circumstances. It's a testament that advocacy works. One voice, armed with truth, can challenge systems and emerge victorious. Alex, by speaking up, has rewritten the rules. Their commission is a symbol that their voice is valued. It's a divine little wink from the universe. The moral is clear. Do not underestimate the power of your voice. Do not believe that injustice is immutable. Alex, with autism, saw the injustice with clarity. Their unique way of processing the world became their strength.